invite you.
I want to invite you.
We want to invite you to be a part of Eastlake Community.
All right, hey, it's like so excited about Easter Jam, Friday, March 31st from 5:30 to 8. Come, we're gonna have bounce houses, we're gonna have food trucks, and we need some help. So you can sign up online to help on eastlakeonline.com.
Well, good morning, everybody. We're so glad you guys are here today. Welcome to Eastlake. Stand up with us. This is a church that loves to worship, and so we hope that you are here and ready to worship because we have lots of reasons to worship this morning. So let's sing together. Here we go. I'm at my end. You're just getting started. When I hit a wall, you just walk through. When I face the mountain, you are the maker, so it's gotta move. When I'm out of faith, when I'm out of faith, you are still faithful. When I'm at my worst, you are still good. And all of my questions, you are the answer. It all points to you, 'cause he's the God. You're the God of the breakthrough. When I'm breaking down, you'll be working a way through. There's no way out. This one thing I know, you're still on your throne. So whatever I'm feeling, I still got a reason to pray. Praise, praise. Out of our wrongs, you write our story. And out of the cross come rivers of grace. Out of the grave bursts a revival no tomb can contain. You're the God of the God. You're the God of the breakthrough. When I'm breaking down, you'll be working a way through. There's no way out. This one thing I know, you're still on your throne. Whatever I'm feeling, I still got a reason to praise, praise, praise. I still got a reason to praise, praise, praise. I still got a reason to praise. When you come around my dry bones, come to life, deserts, paradise, souls just start rolling away. And when you come around, my heart starts to beat again. Long stretch to breathe you in, souls just erupt into praise. And when you come around, my dry bones come to life, deserts, paradise, storms just start rolling away. When you come around, my heart starts to beat again. Long stretch to breathe you in, souls just erupt into praise. Let me hear you sing. 'Cause you're the God of the breakthrough. When I'm breaking down, you'll be working a way through. When there's no way out, this one thing I know, you're still on your throne. So whatever I'm feeling, still got a reason to praise, praise, praise. I still got a reason to praise, praise, praise. I still got a reason to praise. Let's sing this out. You're the God of the breakthrough. 'Cause you're the God of the breakthrough. When I'm breaking down, you'll be working a way through. When there's no way out, this one thing I know, you're still on your throne. So whatever I'm feeling, I still got a reason to praise. Oh, we got reason to praise this morning, amen. Come on now. One of those reasons is Christ. Let's sing this out. Well, Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand. When everything around me shaking, I've never been more glad. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. But no, he won't. Well, I've still got joy in chaos. I've got peace that makes no sense. So I won't be going under. No, I'm not held by my own strength. 'Cause I built my life on Jesus. Oh, he's never let me down. He's faithful in every season. So why would he fail now? Sing out. He won't. No, he won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. God won't fail. He won't fail. He won't. Oh, he won't. Our God never fails. He won't fail. He won't fail. Christ is my firm foundation. He's the rock on which I stand. When everything around me shaking, I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. Well, he won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't. My God never fails. So we lean on you in the good and the bad. Oh, the rain came, wind blew, but my house was built on you. Oh, I'm safe with you. I'm gonna make it through. Oh, the rain came, wind blew, but my house was built on you. Oh, I'm safe with you. I'm gonna make it. Rain came, He won't fail. He won't fail. Oh, he won't. Man. God, we cling on to those words this morning. I don't know exactly what's going on in the lives of the people in this room, but I know that in a room this size, there is no doubt that we need to cling to you in times of trouble. And so if there's someone out there in this room who needs to hear that you are with them in the storm that they're going through, Lord, put your arms around them right now. We remember your faithfulness in times of trouble. We remember that you were with us in the storms of the past, and so we believe and we know and we trust that you are here in the storms of today. So let us walk in that confidence as we worship you and we cling to the words that we sing as more than just words, but as offerings, as prayers, as cries of our heart, as the deep moanings and the groanings of sometimes with prayers that we can't even speak. God, be the words for us in those moments. Man, we love you so much. We love you so much, Lord.
I'm gonna sing till my heart starts changing. Oh, I'm gonna worship till I mean every word. 'Cause the way I feel and the fear I'm facing doesn't change who you are or what you deserve. Sing this out. I'll give you my worship. You still deserve it. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy of my song. I'll pour out your praises in blessing and breaking. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy of my song. My King is risen. Gonna preach to my soul that you've already won. And even though I can't see it, I'm gonna keep believing that every promise you made is as good as done. I give you my worship. Blessing and the pain, you are worthy. Whether you say yes or no way, you are worthy. And through it all, I choose to say, you are worthy. Oh, I'll never stop singing your praise. I'll never stop singing your praise. And when I finally see your face, cry worthy, and when you wipe these tears away, I'll cry worthy, and above every other name, you are worthy. I'll never stop singing your praise. Oh, I'll never stop singing your praise. Oh, I'll never stop singing
our pastor is, but I guess I'll just stall here for a second until he comes up here. Man, we're so glad you guys are here today. We're glad that you would be a part of this. And as he comes here, you guys, why don't you turn and just say hey to one another, and then he'll yell, man, he's just back there. I was waiting for you to come from over here, man. You got to roll that Pastor Preacher 1000 out here, right when I get done, so I know you're coming, man. Jeez. Bring this thing on out here, Pastor Ray. Come on. You know it's going to be good because there was a little delay. So, we're waiting on something. You guys have a seat.
The second half of the book of Exodus opens as Moses leads Israel to the foot of Mount Sinai, where God invites the nation of Israel to enter into a covenant relationship. And here we reach another key moment in the biblical storyline, because this is picking up and developing God's promise to Abraham. So remember, from the book of Genesis, God promised that through Abraham's family, somehow he would restore his blessing to all of the nations. And here we find out more. God says that if Israel obeys the terms of the covenant, they will be so shaped by God's laws and teaching and justice that they will become a kingdom of priests, which means that they will become God's representatives and show all of the other nations what God is truly like. Now the people of Israel eagerly accept the offer, and so God's presence appears right on the top of Mount Sinai in the form of cloud and lightning and thunder. And Moses goes up as their representative, and God opens with the basic terms of the covenant, the famous 10 Commandments. These are like the basic terms of the agreement, how the Israelites and God are going to relate to each other. And then after this come another collection of commands which fill out the first 10 in more detail. There are laws about Israel's worship, about social justice, how they are to live together, all shaping Israel into a nation of justice and generosity that's different from the other nations. So Moses writes down all of these laws, and he brings them down to the people who, again, eagerly agree to enter into this covenant with God. And once they do so, God takes the relationship forward another step. He tells Moses that he wants his holy and divine and good presence to come and dwell right in the midst of Israel.
Good morning, Eastlake. I promise you we know what we're doing. Promise you that. Just sometimes, you don't over-communicate certain things. I did not tell Jairus that I was going to be zip-lining in, or I was going to come out of the back or pop up out of the stage. So he kind of expected me to be here, and I'm like, no, it's a video, bro. I'll wheel out while they're watching the video. So we'll get it right by the second service. So you're going to come back and see it done flawlessly. Just hold your seats. Good morning. My name is Ray Washington. I'm the lead pastor here. And as it told you, we are in the book called Exodus, but the series is called Exit Us because I believe that we're all trying to, if not being delivered out of something. And so wanting to understand what does it look like to be delivered out of something to something else. Man, I just saw a person that normally sits over here sitting over there, and it's all messed me up already. Okay, you guys got to keep your seats. No, but for real. So what you saw from the video is also that now we are at the point where God has asked Moses to talk to his people about building a sanctuary. Rob did a fantastic job last week talking about the festivals that will be held, around and inside of this structure. But today I want to take us to understanding why. Why is it so important that this tabernacle be established amidst these people? Rob also tipped my hand last week by telling you how much I enjoy the smell of smoked meats and things. And, as my many travels have occurred, it happens also in foreign countries. So like when we go to Africa, it's customary that, near the end of the trip that the people will, that little goat that's been running around all week, all of a sudden on one particular day, the goat ain't running around no more. He's strung up in the back, and, they are getting him ready for the feast that we're about to have. So as we celebrate God's goodness, because that was what they were doing for us, they were literally saying thank you for coming as God's representatives to our country to do whatever it is they asked us to be in country to do. And as a capstone on that, it's let's have a festival of God's goodness and faithfulness towards us. But how do we keep this posture? I was with my men's group yesterday and I said, I want to get to the place where every day when I fall asleep recounting the things that God has done. So that I end my day in peace and joy of what it is that he's done. So that means I have to be really intentional, instead of looking at something on Netflix or letting the background sounds of either House Hunters, I'm not watching that, but somebody's watching House Hunters or some Lifetime movie, that I'm literally closing my eyes to just rest in the fact that God has been good to me today. And I want to remember those things. And as I bring all those things to remembrance, I find myself falling asleep in his arms. Like a little child that does the same when they settle themselves in the arms of their parent. This is what it would look like to live a daily life of reminding myself of the things that God has done. If you want to follow along with us today, we're going to be in Exodus chapters 24, and believe me, we're going to get through 27. It's going to be a blitz, but we're going to do it. And so if you have one of these orange and white Bibles out of the 4 stanchions in the back, you want to go ahead and grab one, turn to pages 66 and 67. If you have your digital device with you this morning, go to YouVersion, click the 3 bars in the corner, hit events, and you'll have everything that we're going to navigate through this morning. If you don't have your own personal Bibles, know that it's the second book of the Bible, so it shouldn't be hard to find. And meet me there real quickly. So imagine being an Israelite in this day and age. You have been delivered. You've seen some crazy miracles. And now Moses has gathered all of the group together. And what you see is fire. There's slaughtering of animals for this ceremony that he's putting together. I mean, you can literally see the fire licking the flesh of the animals, and you smell the smoke and the sense of chunks of grilled or smoked meats happening. And Pastor Ray walks up with his seasoning. Moses starts to read the covenant to the assembly, and after hearing all that God has planned for you as a people, he's asking each of you, will you commit to this covenant? And what you hear, what's recorded in Scripture, is that they said, Lord, we will do and obey all that the Lord has commanded. It's an appropriate response. And so what Moses does, he takes some blood and he sprinkles it upon the altar that we'll get into later about this altar. And then as you are standing there in worship, like I saw some of you just a moment ago, hands uplifted, you feel flecks of liquid on your face. And those flecks are the blood from the sacrifice that was made on the behalf of the assembly. And this is what I would call the sealing of that covenant. Exodus chapter 24, verse 12. The Lord said to Moses, come up to me on the mountain and stay there, so that I may give you the stone tablets with the law and the commandments I have written for their instruction. So Moses arose with his assistant Joshua and went up the mountain of God. He told the elders, wait here for us until we return to you. Aaron and Hur are here with you. Whoever has a dispute should go to them. When Moses went up the mountain, the cloud covered and the glory of the Lord settled upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the 7th day, he called Moses from the cloud. He called to Moses from the cloud. The appearance of the Lord's glory to the Israelites was like a consuming fire on the mountaintop. Moses entered the cloud as he went up the mountain, and he remained on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Let us pray. Father God, help us to wrap our minds around what this must have been like, so that prayerfully our response will be one that's favorable to you. That not only will we be a sanctuary, that we will bring what it is that you have gifted us to help build the one that you're building for all eternity. Lord, destroy our pride this morning. so we may approach you with hands outstretched and postured to receive from you, so that we can become the people that you created us to be. We ask this in your Son, Jesus' name, and we all said, amen. So God invites Moses is invited by God and Joshua to come up to the mountain to have worship, to meet with him. And there are others that are near the mountain. There's a number of about 70 of them. And so can you imagine when Moses says to them, we're going to have a meal with the Lord? Say what? We're meeting with God? Can you imagine how nervous you would be? I mean, it's equivalent to whoever it is that you would say, I would like to meet this person before I die, and say that this person has now said, hey, I want you to come to my house, and we're going to have dinner. What should I wear? How should I present myself? I wonder what they're going to serve. I wonder, is it going to be Reverend Ray's? I wonder, what is it going to be like? And Moses, you said that if we see God's face, we're going to die. So what is this really going to be like? It reminds me of a funny story from a church ago. Tracy was a school teacher who had adopted two wonderful sisters from Russia. Shirley and I were new to this church. It was Calvary. And Tracy was pretty upfront, and the church was too, about wanting to bridge the racial divide. So Tracy, being bold, statuesque, European woman, says, hey, I would love to have you guys over to my house for dinner one Sunday after church, because I don't have any friends of color. I was like, all right, that's what we rolling with. Okay, we'll come over for dinner. Now Tracy knew that I love barbecue, but Tracy didn't cook. So Tracy, she bought some barbecue, some prepackaged, pre-made barbecue from Walmart, And so I show up to her house, and she's like, Ray, now what you need to know about me is that I don't cook. And I went out and got this because I know you love barbecue, and this probably isn't good. So just know that it's really not about the barbecue. And for me, that let me know that, number one, she was honest, and she's been honest the entire time. And really what she wanted was relationship. It wasn't about the food at all. She wanted to learn our stories. She wanted friendship. She wanted to know what brought us to Calvary. See, God doesn't need anything from us. He owns it all. He just wants to have fellowship with you. And he's called all of us here weekly to catch a glimpse of who he is and what he's done. And that's what communion is for us. Communion is a reminder of all that Christ has done for all of us. It's an intimate meal where God meets with us as we remember the sacrifice of his son, Jesus. And so for all of you that have given your lives to the gospel of Jesus Christ, would you prepare to enter into that sacred meal, spending time, like how I talked about earlier, opening up, recounting how good God has been. It's not at the end of the day, but I'm sure he's already shown himself today as being good to you. So as the greeters come forward to grab the trays, and this song plays called the Heart of Worship, which is where our hearts should be, that as these elements are being passed, would you just hold on to them and hold on to the memory of how God has been good to you and how thankful you are for Jesus being who he is to you today.
When the music fades and all is stripped away, and I simply come, longing just to bring something that's a word will bless your heart. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I made. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus. Oh, it's all about you. Oh, it's all about you. King of endless word, no one could express how much you deserve. Though I'm weak and I'm poor, though I'm weak and poor, all I have is yours. Every single prayer will bring in more than a song. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within than the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. Oh, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I've made. When it's all about you, it's all about you, Jesus.
On the night that Jesus would be betrayed, he gathered with his friends because he said, I no longer call you servants, I call you friends, because I'm letting you know what my Father's will is. So he brought the bread and the wine. The bread would represent his body that would be broken for each one of us. If you have your morsel of bread, would you please now take it for the comfort of your soul? Father, I pray that as they break down this tiny cracker, God, that they would remember how you were broken for us, for them personally. And may your glory come out of them being broken over their own sin, and then turn to be broken over the sin of the world. And may they be comforted by the fact that it was you that shed your blood for this very purpose, for our salvation. So that he would take the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup represents my blood, which is the New Testament. Would you drink now for the comfort of your soul? That we now understand, God, that without the shedding of blood, which yours was shed for us, there was no remission of sin. But because it's been shed, there is. And we give you glory, praise, and honor for that. Help us to continue in our worship as well as living a life that sings a song of worship to you. We ask this in Jesus' name. And we all said, so they would have had this moment, this intimate moment with Yahweh. And soon after that, he would tell Moses to communicate to them what it was that he wanted. And this is about the constructing of the tabernacle. Exodus 25, verses 1 through 9. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to take an offering for me. You are to take my offering from everyone who is willing to give. This is the offering you are to receive from them: gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, fine linen and goat hair, ram skins dyed red and fine leather, acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil and for the fragrant incense, and onyx along with other gemstones for mounting on the ephod and the breastplate. They are to make a sanctuary for me, so that I may dwell among them. You must make it according to all that I show you, the pattern of the tabernacle, as well as the pattern of all of its furnishings." Let's rewind. These were enslaved individuals that spent hundreds of years enslaved under Pharaoh's mighty arm. Where in the world are they going to get this stuff from? Now, if you're new here or you've never read through the book of Exodus, you don't even know. I mean, it's a good question to ask. And maybe you're here and you were here last year. We went through the first 19 chapters and you've forgotten where they're going to get this stuff from. So let me spend a couple of minutes just reminding you that what God was asking them was not too much. It was totally appropriate, because in Exodus chapter 3, verses 20 through 22, he says this: "But when I stretch out my hand," he's talking to Moses about what he's going to do about them being enslaved. "But when I stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with all my miracles," the 10 plagues, "I will perform it in it, and after that, he will let you go." That Pharaoh will let you go. "And I will give these people such favor with the Egyptians that when you go, you will not go empty-handed." See, this hints to what Rob was talking about a couple of weeks ago, the difference between the enslavement that they were in versus the chattel slavery that exists here in America. They are incomparable. Because in this scenario, we get to see what God's intent was. It says they will have such favor with the Egyptians that when you go, you won't go empty-handed. "Each woman will ask her neighbor and any woman staying in her house for silver and gold jewelry and clothing, and you will put them on your sons and daughters." They didn't leave empty-handed. It ends with saying you will plunder the Egyptians. Remember what he's asking them in this offering. All right, Exodus 12, 35, 36. They did. So here's the response of the people. They did what God told them to do. The Israelites acted on Moses' word, and they asked the Egyptians for silver and the gold items for clothing. And the Lord gave the people such favor with the Egyptians that they gave them what they requested. And in this way, they plundered the Egyptians. God doesn't ask anything from you that he hasn't already given you. The very fact that you're breathing, he asks for you to give him praise. The very fact that you're breathing with use of your limbs, you are to offer that back to him. Your service. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go to this tabernacle so you can envision what it is that this place looked like. If I could have the picture up top here. And so much of the furniture was built out of the acacia wood that he mentions. And I want to tell you something a little bit about acacia wood, since it's intricate and integral to much of the things that's being built here. Acacia wood, from a practical standpoint, would have been the only type of trees in the area in which they were in. And so it wasn't asking too much. They didn't have to go hunt for this particular type of wood. They were surrounded by it. And the funny thing about acacia wood, that is dense and extremely strong, making it a great option to build wooden structures with. One researcher notes this, that the wood is resistant to decay because the tree deposits in the heartwood many waste substances which are preservatives, and it renders the wood impalatable to insects, making the wood dense and difficult to be penetrated by water and other decaying agents. And God would have this overlaid with the most precious metal of them all, gold. Which is why this stuff was built to last for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I'm going to start in reverse about the pieces. The one that you see in, oh, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. In the far back was the ark. Remember the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark? That's what he was looking for, the Ark of the Covenant. It was the most important piece because it was where the stone tablets were stored in. It was said the top of it was supposed to be the footstool of God. It was never to be touched by man, and it was kept in the holiest of holies. That back part of the tabernacle, right behind that drape, was the holies of holies. It was also said that inside it was an urn with some manna, with remnants of manna in that urn to remind them of God's provision. Moving forward, so let's get on the other side of the curtain, you see like this box set up there. That is the bronze altar. This was the physical reminder of the need to, when you're coming before the presence of the Lord, that you had to put a sacrifice on that thing. That worship requires, communion with God requires a sacrifice. You may not be aware of this, but the very fact that you're here, you made certain sacrifices to get here. You chose to come here versus sleep in. The massive size of this altar confronted them with this massive gap between them and God, and that the only way to negate that was to bring a sacrifice. This would be also where the blood would be sprinkled on the four corners. 3, the table of the showbread, or the table for the bread on the right side of that, at least for me, it was also had 12 loaves on it constantly. It was a reminder that God's provision was for the tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes. It helped them to remember that he was always going to be their source of provision. And right across from the table of showbread, it was the lampstand that was solid gold. It weighed 75 pounds and made of pure gold. As I said, the significance of this was that to remind them of God's presence as light. Much like on one of my favorite shows, Survivor, when they get their torches, they light them, and then when they get voted out, they take the light out. So light means life, and darkness means death. And this menorah is what it looks like. Was to remind him and their followers that they were to be also, because Jesus says this, we're to be lights of the world. Everywhere we go, we should have his light in us, illuminating others that are living in darkness. Matthew 5:14. More than just reflect it, it lives in us. And lastly, the structure itself, which was the tabernacle. The curtains were a symbolism of God's presence amongst his people. And just like in the garden, he had to shut them out. But his ultimate goal is to do away with that. It was to remind us of a greater Eden is coming. So except for the wood, all of these things, the Lord had already given them upon their departure from Egypt. So here's where we draw a correlation for each of us. Whether it's your job, your car, your home, your house, your talents, your health, this church, its resources, all of these have been gifts by God. And so when we ask, when others ask for volunteers for certain things, I need you to seriously consider what God has given you, and are you using it to help build his sanctuary? You should not just come here and sit. That's a waste of your time. God has equipped you to be a part of what he's building. You notice there's no chairs in the tabernacle? No, you enter the tabernacle to worship and to work. Parents, when you instruct your kids to do something, are you ever asking them to do something that they cannot do? No. Whether it's clean their room, take out the trash, they have abilities to do those things. And so what you don't want is lip. All you want is for them to do. God already knows that he's giving you everything that you need. Sometimes when God asks us to do things, it's not convenient. But it's not about convenience. It's about obedience. It will cost you things. Your sleep. It'll cost you forsaking yourselves. It will cost us, just as Jesus says, that in order to truly follow him, we have to die to ourselves. Self says, I don't want to do it. The spirit in you says, you should. You really should. Set ourselves aside so that others might be known. So why is this important to us? Why should we care about any of this? Because like the people of Israel, God loves you and he wants a relationship with you, plain and simple. He created you to know him and to prepare you for an eternity with him. And if you would accept this invitation, you would enjoy the absolute best relationship that you'll ever have. Go back one more time in Exodus 6, 1 through 8. The Lord approaches Moses, and we're going to read 6 and 8 in a minute, but I want to read to you first how this starts off so that we get it in its proper context. And the Lord told Moses, now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. When he feels the force of my strong hand, he will let the people go. In fact, he will force them to leave his land. And then God said to Moses, I am Yahweh, the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai, God Almighty. But I did not reveal my name, Yahweh, to them. And I reaffirmed my covenant with them under its terms. I promised to give them the land of Canaan where they were living as foreigners. Remember, he told them, don't forget that you too were once foreigners. You can be sure that I have heard the groans of my people of Israel and now are slaves to the Egyptians. And I am well aware of my covenant with them. God has extended himself to every last one of us. And he's looking for an answer. Not tomorrow, because tomorrow's not promised to any one of us. He's looking for an answer today. So now, 6 through 8. Therefore, say to the people of Israel, I am the Lord. I will free you from your oppression, and I will rescue you from your slavery in Egypt. I will redeem you with a powerful arm and great acts of judgment. I will claim you as my own people, and I will be your God. Then you will know that I am the Lord, your God, who has freed you from oppression in Egypt. And I'll bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I will give it to you as your own, as your very own possession. Who am I? I am the Lord. Just like then, God extends himself to every last one of us, saying, whatever it is that you're enslaved to, I am here and willing to free you. Whatever it is that you have been through and people have said a myriad of things about you and done things to you, I will redeem you. Whoever it is that has rejected you, I will claim you as my own. Whatever it is that you have been worshiping and enslaving yourselves to, whether it's food addiction, whether it's pornography, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, he says whatever it is, that has become a god to you, if sports have become a god to you, where you have to consider, should I go to this or should I go to worship? Whatever it is that is that has been a roadblock or stumbling or a consideration, whether you should serve him or not, he says, let me be your God. He says, whatever it is, or better yet, wherever it is you're trying to go, because we're all going somewhere. I mean, first and foremost, we're going to the grave. Every last one of us. We're all going somewhere. We all going to get there at some point. Bodies are falling apart, which is an indication, yeah, I need a new one. That's an indication. When things start to hurt, all right, God, I hear you. I hear you. Maybe I go see a doctor and get a new one, but you know what? I know you got one better than that. That outlasts the knee, the shoulder, and the hip. He's wherever it is you're trying to get to. Let me lead you. I don't want you wandering and wondering. I want to lead you to the place that I have for you. He wants to be your God. He wants to be your Redeemer. He wants to be your liberator. And so all that's left for us to do is admit our need. Let me propose to you this. If you're sitting here or you're sitting in your home and you don't believe that you have a need, let me tell you what you do have. You have a God complex. And that's dangerous. Admit your need, whatever that is. We have the care process. We have multiple resources that the Lord has provided for the people that are here. Even people that don't go here, they know we have resources. Whatever it is that you're in need of, you need to admit that. Second thing you need to do is to believe that Jesus is the answer to whatever that is. You've tried everything else. You've spent your life trying to correct your spouse. It ain't work, ain't it? I know. I used to be there too. You've prayed your neighbors away, and yet they're still there. Or better yet, you've prayed that your boss would find a different job or get fired or found out. And yet they're still there doing what they do. That's not the answer. Putting your focusing gaze on Jesus and worshiping your way through the hard things at work, that's the answer. So all that's left now is for you to commit. Commit to surrendering and following him. See, God is building his sanctuary because he wants to be in our midst. The question is, are you a part of that? Are you a part of that building? Yeah, I go to East Lake. What do you do there? I go there. That's it? Okay. Yeah. It's time to stop playing church and be it. So I need you to consider which one of these three or all three of these steps, either where you're at or what you need to do today, so that we can make sure that when he does come for us, and just so you know, he also comes for individuals. So when he comes for you, will you be found being about your Father's business, offering what it is that he's giving you to building his sanctuary, his church, the Big C church? Let me pray. Father God, as we now continue in our worship and the greeters will come forward to receive offerings, it doesn't matter which one they give right now, God, but they need to give. Whether it's an admittance of their need of you, whether it's them needing to surrender to you, whatever it is, whether it's they already belong to you, but now they need to become a part of, to sign up for. Lord, I pray that your Spirit will speak specifically to your children and that they will respond in kind, that too will be received as a reasonable sacrifice unto your name. Help us, God. We pray in Jesus' name, and we all said, amen.
Well, as we worship with our giving and our generosity, let's stand up and let's worship together in song.
Come all you weary, come all you thirsty, come to the well that never runs dry. Drink of the water, come and thirst no more. Come all you sinners, come find his mercy, come to the table, he will satisfy. Taste of his goodness, find what you're looking for. We sing for God so loved the world that he gave us his one and only Son to save us. Whoever believes in him will live forever. Bring it all and bring all your failures, bring your addictions, come lay them down at the foot of the cross. Jesus is waiting there with open arms. Yes, he's open, yeah. For God so loved the world that he gave us his one and only Son to save us. Whoever believes in him will live forever. The power of hell forever defeated. Now it is well. I'm walking in freedom. For God so loved the world.
Let's sing this out. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, for the wonders of His love. Come on.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, for the wonders of His love. We sing, for God so loved the world that He gave us His one and only Son to save. For God so loved the world that He gave us His one and only Son to save us. Whoever believes in Him will live forever. The power of hell forever defeated. Now it is well. I'm walking in freedom. For God so loved the world. Bring all your failures, bring your addictions, come lay them down at the foot of the cross. Jesus is waiting. God so loved the world.
Thank you, Jairus and team. A few announcements. If this is your first time here, we have a couple places for you. Take 5 in the back where we have a couple of pastors and elders back there ready to receive you. If you are a person that feels like you're in need of prayer regarding anything, we have some elders back in this corner too, as well in the prayer corner, ready to pray for you. Now, a couple of things before you go. I told you about God gifting us to be able to do things. Well, on March 31st, there's an event called Easter Jam, where Laura could use a few more volunteers. So if you love kids, or you feel like the Lord is calling you to sacrifice for kids, I need you to sign up for that. Second thing is we have a celebration services being planned for all our Rooted and group graduates that are coming up on April the 2nd. It'll also be a baptism Sunday as well. And so if that is something that's of interest to you, please see Pastor Michelle back in the back. Men, 2 big events happening, and you can sign up right as we open these doors. First thing, there's a men's retreat planned May 11th through the 13th in the upstate. If you would like to be a part of that, please go out to the kiosk out in the hall, and you will see places for you to sign up. Jeff will be back there making sure you guys don't hurt each other trying to sign up for the men's retreat. Second, you know, they got this thing called the NCAA tournament going on. So the Final Four, we're having a party, not here, but at one of our brothers' house that has the facilities. There's going to be tons of sacrifice meat. And so if that's something of interest to you, it's April the 1st at 6 p.m. So if you want to eat some sacrificed meat to the Lord and be fattened by that, please also sign up for that in the back of the room. I pray you guys have a great week. And I also pray that you start thinking about how is it you play a role in the building of his church. Have a blessed week, guys. Thank you.